Hello there. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips that will instantly improve your toy photography, be you a beginner, intermediate, advanced, whether you're shooting on a DSLR or just your mobile phone. These 5 tips today are going to help you boost those photos and get more reach wherever it is that you're posting them. I'm super excited to get into these tips. So without further ado, let's get it. Right, tip number 1 is angles. I see a lot of people kind of, get their figure, their toy out, whatever, and they just shoot it from just a normal kind of, hey, look what I've just got. Best way to improve that is just bring that camera down, get eye level with the figure or toy. Doing this, it puts you on the same plane as them, and it makes that toy or figure seem more lifelike, seem more real. So get on that. Another thing you want to look at is how far away or how close you are to said subject. If you're too far away, you're going to get a lot of that negative space, and the figure isn't going to be the key, the thing that's drawing your eye into that. So get in there, but you don't want to go too close either, because you could also lose a lot of the beauty or the story that you're trying to convey when you're taking the shot of your toy or figure. Another thing you want to take into mind, bearing on story, think about the character that it is you're shooting. Think about them. Say, let's take Darth Vader, for example. He is a big, monstrous presence. If you take a picture of him, looking down, that makes him look like, he is the weaker subject as he is looking up to you. You could take it from that eye level, awesome, but to really add a bit more presence and a bit more oomph to that photo, take a photo of him from his point of view where he is looking down on you. By doing that, it shows the viewer of that photo that Darth Vader is this big, powerful, commanding presence. He is looking down on you. It makes him look big, powerful. So consider that. Think about your character. Take a few extra seconds and think, what would be the best angle for this? What's the angle that everyone's taking of this? How can I make it different? Those few extra seconds are going to make it count. The second tip is shooting through objects. So this is something that I learned probably midway through me taking photos of things, and it absolutely changed everything for me. It completely upped the game. By shooting through an object, it adds more depth to the photo. It gives you more layers, and again, hammering home on that detail there, it really does bring that photo to life. Things you can try here is probably shooting through the handle of a coffee mug, for example. That adds a nice kind of like a bit of interest point, a bit of a vignette on there. You can also try shooting through some glasses. That adds a bit more character to it, like I've done with these shots here. And another really cool thing you can do is just go outside, go into your garden, go into any nature reserves, any parks, anything like that. Shoot through some natural elements. As you can see here, this stormtrooper, I shot him in some tall grass. It just adds a bit more epicness, a bit more depth, and a bit more of an interesting view on the character. As well as this, I placed these clone troopers in a plant that my fiance had grown, and it just makes them look like they're in a forest, and it adds more to the photo rather than just having them on their own. It kind of puts them in a scene, so to speak, and it adds more life, more detail, more interest, and more, just detail, I guess you can say, to the overall story. Again, you can also use like a diorama, like this photo here with the stormtrooper in Tatooine. What I did was I used an archway that I'd built just to really focus your eyes into that troop, to make it seem as if you were looking in at him, he was looking back at you, I should say, and saying, move along, nothing to see here. Again, this Ghastly, I put him in a dungeon. Again, I put that wall just in front of him, same kind of angle as the stormtrooper, but what it does is it just adds a little bit more mystery, a little bit more of that haunting effect. The Ghastly is just, kind of roaming this little dungeon, he's poking out. It just makes a lot more fun to these photos. Tip number 3 is lighting. Lighting is the most important element in photography. It can, be the difference between a good photo and a bad photo, and it can be an even greater difference between a good photo and a great photo. Lighting can be super scary and something that people often shy away from. Just take some time to learn some different techniques, or even play around with different colors of light. With colored lights, you can make some simple backgrounds, or you can even add a bit of a hue to a character that has a lightsaber, just like I did with this Darth Vader shot here. Like I said, lighting can be very intimidating, and it was to me at the start as well. And a question that you may think, well, a question or something you might say is, well, I don't have these lights, I don't have that. The answer's simple, go to a window or go outside. Natural light is your best friend, and it's probably the easiest way to get around learning lighting without actually having set lights. Great times to shoot would be obviously on a cloudy or overcast day. Those clouds blocking the sun is going to act as a giant softbox. It's going to make that light a lot more softer, so you'll get more pleasing images. Another really great time to shoot is golden hour. Now, golden hour is where the sun is rising or the sun is setting. If you don't know when that is, just Google it, and Google will tell you when that is. It just adds a really nice kind of warmth to your images there. As you can see with this Grogu shot here, it just kind of added an extra vibe to him there, and it just, in my opinion, made the shot overall much more interesting. Yeah. Another great time to shoot outside is when it's really bright outside. So of course you won't have that softbox from the clouds there, but this type of light is perfect for practical effects. If you're blowing up debris or blowing up some water, just like with this Magikarp here, it really captures all the sparkles in that aqua. Tip number 4 is adding other subjects or props to the photos. Now, by adding another subject or prop to the photos, what it does is it helps you frame your shot a lot more better, and it gives you these more interesting concepts in terms of your composition that you can play around with. As well as that, it really helps you fill out a lot of the negative space that you can find in some photos. Hey, you got like a little bottom corner over here, throw in some stuff, man, it's good. The best thing with throwing in extra subjects or props is that you can just get really creative here. Take this Asuna figure, for example. I stole this kind of little rug from another figure that I had, just added that to the shot, and it just made it a little bit more comfy. It's a small, subtle detail, but it really adds here. Another example here is this Stormtrooper shot. Now, I could have just had this one Stormtrooper on his own. However, by adding those two into the background, it adds a bit more life, and it adds more to the story. The story is what we keep mentioning here, but it adds more to the story in terms of this Stormtrooper is in battle. He's not on his own. There's other things going off in the background. Now, it's not distracting you from this main trooper at the front, but if you take those troopers out, the shot will look a lot more empty for sure. Now, if you don't have multiple subjects, or if you don't have these props, don't worry about it. One of my tips from earlier, go outside. The tip here is to shoot your environment. Take this Pidgeot, for example. I simply placed him on a tree I have in my garden here. What I did was it basically added more depth, more layers to the shots. It gave you an idea of Pidgeot was in the tree, and it just helped frame everything and made it a much more interesting photo than just a Pidgeot on its own, if that makes sense. Another thing you can do is just get creative. Why not throw in some household items? I've got a couple of shots here. This one of Megami. I basically had a bowl and some popcorn, and I was just sprinkling that down on her. Another one is Vanilla from Nekopara. I simply put a coffee mug there and just poured some coffee into that mug with her staring over the top. It just adds more to it, and it gives more character to these shots. It works particularly well with Nendoroids, but it can work well with any type of figure photography. Not all shots have to be these dramatic, epic battles. Toy photography is something of everything, so you can bring in some comedy, and seeing those shots from time to time is good to see, and they're also really fun to make. Final tip number 5 is use the figure. Now, this is one of my absolute favorites. So we've got your Black series, you've got your Figma, you've got your Nendoroids. These are all awesome because they are articulated, and we can put them in different poses and different situations, and it's easy to make these look cool. However, scale figures, they come in one pose with no articulation at all. So how can we make them look more epic? The answer to this one is simple. Take a few extra minutes just to study that figure and look at all of the different angles that these figures have. The scale figures are beautifully detailed. Take those extra minutes to look for some creative angles. Think about the figure, think, how does everyone else shoot this? How can I shoot this in a different way that will make me stand out and will also show off more of those beautiful details? Now, this doesn't just apply to scale figures. You can do it with the Black series, the Figma and whatnot. Take this shot of Link, for example. I had him going towards a chest in a dungeon. I've just taken a picture of the back of him. Luckily, we know with Link he has the Hylian shield on the back, which is a really cool detail. And it's taking a picture from the back of the figure, but you can still see what's going on. Of course, we did use one of our previous tips as well, where we involved the prop there of the chest. But take some time just to think about your shots and how you can make them as interesting as possible. Now, this can also relate to normal posing. Like this Stormtrooper, for example, the original shot for him, I had him running straight at the camera, but it didn't look quite right to me. So I just moved him off to the side, moved my camera back a bit, and I got this more like kind of dynamic actiony pose. Of course, I did in the debris and the practical effects there, but just having that angle of him definitely made that photo go from a, you know, probably like a 6 in my opinion to like a 10. But like, that's my opinion. Like, you know, it's just, you get what I mean, people. And there we go. They were 5 tips that will help you instantly improve your toy photography. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you got some value out of these tips. If you do use any of these and they have helped you at all, tag me in them on Instagram. I'm at snapshots.photography. I'd love to see what you've done. And if you've got any awesome tips that you'd like to add to this, let me know in the comment section below. I'm constantly learning myself and I'd love to see what it is that you guys are doing to improve your photography. But that's it from me. As always, hit the like button and the subscribe button for more toy photography videos, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Go shoot something awesome. Take care. Peace.